Barbara Kahn teaches marketing at the Wharton School of Business.
And the Ron Johnson damage was so bad that this is a critical time for department stores. So there was real hope that Ellison would bring back things that would make the case turn whole again.
His transition to president and CEO of Lowe's is something of a homecoming. Across the street for Ellison. Before joining Penny's, he spent 12 years at Lowe's biggest competitor, Home Depot. Lowe's understands that Home Depot dominates distribution, but Lowe's has an innovation lab. Customers can already use augmented reality goggles in the aisles to try new equipment. The Barbara Kahn at the Wharton School says Ellison is likewise digitally inclined.
So they have the opportunity to stay ahead of the curve in our team in a realistic way. I guess Penny was always trying to catch up.
Ellison will take over Lowe's on July 2nd. I'm Andy Ealer for Marketplace.
On Wall Street this Tuesday, you remember the happy music from yesterday? Yeah, it's not going to be that. We'll have the details when we do the numbers.
Attempts to force a reduction of European steel exports as blackmail. And one of the EU's most senior officials, Donald Tusk, last week delivered a stinging rebuke to Europe's most important ally.
With friends like that, we need families.
The EU will not negotiate with a gun at its head, says Agathe Demarday of the Economist Intelligence Unit in London. It will not make concessions in the hope that its temporary exemption from the US steel tariffs will be made permanent. Europe is seething, and not just about steel.
It has strengthened its rhetoric in recent days. Note that the US is also reimposing sanctions against Iran that would hurt European companies.
French oil giant Total, Danish shipping firm Moller Maersk, and German electronics company Siemens have all indicated they'll pull out of Iran rather than risk US sanctions. The French have called on the EU to compensate the companies to keep them in Iran. But, says Demarday, it's a futile move.
The EU doesn't have the financial resources to compensate companies hit by US sanctions,
which only serves to increase the EU's frustration. But not all trade experts are pessimistic about Europe and the US settling their differences over trade.
The Chinese compromise came out of nowhere, so in a way you couldn't tell until one gets to the crunch in these negotiations.
Professor Jim Rollo of the UK Trade Policy Observatory thinks it is possible the EU will give ground on steel.
The EU might buy into voluntary export restraints.
But as he watches the back and forth of President Trump's negotiating technique, the hardball softball routine, Rollo confesses,
I'm confused and I don't think I'm alone in that as to what the likely outcomes here are.
All may become clearer a week from Friday when Europe's temporary exemption from the steel tariffs expires. In London, I'm Stephen Bailey for Marketplace.
Continued his apology tour today, spending a couple hours testifying before the European Parliament in Brussels about Cambridge Analytica et al. This is a big week, actually, for data privacy over in Europe. The EU's much valued General Data Protection Regulation, GDPR, as it's known, goes into effect on Friday. Molly Wood is the host of Marketplace Tech, also my partner on the podcast we do together called Make Me Smart. Hey, Molly.
Hey, Kai.
All right, so make me smart on this. See what I did there? Make me smart on this whole Zuckerberg testimony thing. How'd it go for him in front of the European Parliament?
You know, it went not dissimilar to how it went here in the United States. Zuckerberg essentially issued the same apology he issued before Congress in the U.S. It's interesting because it was a very odd format that limited the opportunity, I think, for Zuckerberg to mess up and for the testimony or the conversation to make news. It was give the same speech, but in speech form and not answer form. That's basically what happened.
We're still waiting to see what Congress is going to do about this. What are the prospects for anything coming out of Europe on Facebook in response to this specific issue in the testimony?
You know, the European Parliament has no actual power in this case, and so it would have to move back to lawmakers in a sort of circuitous route. So it's likely that there won't be anything immediately. That does not mean that the European Union won't at some point move to regulating Facebook. They were, like I said, not happy with these answers on data and privacy. Several of them indicated they think Facebook is a monopoly. And then, of course, as you mentioned, there's the GDPR, which is in effect with enforcement powers as of Friday. That opens Facebook up to potential fines if the EU finds it is violating rules about how users can control or access their data. And it could enable new lawsuits around data collection and, of course, government investigation.
So since you mentioned GDPR, and I do want to ask you about it, but and not that I'm checking my email here in the studio, but literally about 3 minutes ago, before we went to you, I got an email from Spotify, and it said, updates to Spotify privacy policy. Here's the quote. We are contacting you today to let you know that we'll be making some changes to our privacy policy because of the European Union General Data Protection Regulation. That's what's going on here, right? All these privacy policy updates that we're seeing in our inboxes are because of what's happening in Europe.
That's what's happening. It's a little ironic that it feels like spam because part of the GDPR requires companies to get consent before they communicate with you or use your data. But because it requires all companies who deal with citizens in the EU, they have to be more transparent and upfront about how they're using your data, what they're collecting, and they're supposed to let you know that you have these rights to either access your information, erase it, correct it, or move it to another service like from Facebook to Flickr. In the short term, that means you're going to get a lot of emails.
I should say here, Molly and I are going to do a special Make Me Smart system up Thursday afternoon about GDPR and all of that good stuff. In like the 15 seconds we have left, let me ask you this. How desperately are companies going to try to get around these rules?
I think pretty desperately. I think some of the smaller companies are hoping that the focus will be on the bigger guys.
Molly Wood, the host of Marketplace Tech, and with me, a podcast we do that's called Make Me Smart. Thank you, Molly.
Thanks, Ken.
See you. Class of 2008, straight ahead, but first, let's do numbers. Dow Industrials gave back some of yesterday's gains, as I said, falling 0.7%, 178 on the point scale, closing 24,834. S&P 500 down 0.3%, 8 points, 27.24. NASDAQ also down 0.2%, 15 points, 73.78. Bank stocks climbed as Congress, as we told you, is moving to ease some banking regulations. JP Morgan Chase gained about 0.75%. Bank of America picked up about 1.1%. Hard to know what's going on with the Chinese phone maker ZTE after the president seemed to contradict reports of a deal with the U.S. that would keep ZTE alive. He did that today in the Oval Office, sitting next to the South Korean president. American companies that supply parts to ZTE are interested parties in that drama. Chipmaker Qualcomm lost a little more than 0.5% today. The CEO of Qualcomm, by the way, on this program tomorrow. You're listening to Marketplace.
Marketplace is supported by Progressive Insurance, offering its Home Quote Explorer so shoppers can evaluate options in one place when buying home insurance. Custom quotes and rates are available online. Learn more at Progressive.com. And by C3IoT, the software platform for digital transformation using artificial intelligence and IoT to solve previously unsolvable business problems. Learn more at c3iot.ai. And by Charles Schwab, who believes a modern approach to wealth management starts with asking questions and providing straightforward answers. Charles Schwab, own your tomorrow.